far as Bifrost from here?
It's about 2 hours from here.
It's about 2 hours away.
Jay, brace yourself. You're about to meet our love child.
I think I'm gonna need to see a blood test.
Where's that delivery?
I can't believe this. I was delivering cream and look what's happening.
Hey everybody, I'm John and this is my heterosexual life mate Matt, and we're here today to talk to you again about Kevin Smith. So today we're going to be doing every movie that he's released after Clerks 2 and before Clerks 3 that we are going to actually be seeing next week, or probably when this video comes out pretty soon. And we decided, you know what, this is the second part. We're going to rank these all at the end of this video, and we're really excited to talk to you guys about Kevin Smith. So Matt, tell them about Kevin Smith.
So as he said, we are we're talking about the ones after Clerks 2. And to be honest, we were kind of both dreading the second half of his career. You know what? I was pleasantly surprised. We both had a great time rewatching a lot of these, and I like a lot of them way more than I thought I did. Or Jersey Girl was in the first batch, right?
Yeah, and I was really high on Jersey Girl in our first video, and that's because I just watched Jersey Girl right before we made the video, and you know, one thing about Jersey Girl is I gave it a lot of praise. I realized something. It's just very forgettable.
Right.
Forgettable.
Yeah.
It wasn't no harm, no foul, but I have no rush to see it.
I just finished it because we're going to rank them in our... Out of all 13 movies, there's none of them that I would say are a bad movie.
No, I wouldn't say. I would say his worst movie, actually, ironically, is my wife's favorite of all his movies. Because we watched them all together. You watched them all with your girlfriend because we're all seeing this as a group. Mm-hmm. So we all wanted to make sure we were caught up on our View Askew Universe movies and all his solo work.
Right. So, yeah, again, I mean, I have every single one of his movies. This is just the ones we're talking about today. But I have all of them on physical media.
Yeah.
And some of these are kind of tough to get, that John found out.
But yeah, I was going to buy them because you couldn't really rent them, and I was going to buy them. And I really think this is because after Red State, he did release Tusk through A24, but he was doing the distribution rights and everything himself. There's actually a really weird story that it's a 10-year-old story now about what happened with him in Red State and how he filmed it. He had two independent investors help him film it, and then he put it up for bidding, but he didn't let anyone bid on it at the Sundance Film Festival. He actually said, I sold it in the back to myself for $20, and then that's the first time he took it on the road, which is what he does now.
Yep. And that is, again, I think we said it in the first video, and I'm very excited for John to come and experience this for the first time. This will be my second time seeing a movie with Kevin Smith. I saw the reboot when he did the Reboot Roadshow, and I'm very excited to go to the Clerks 3 when he's calling it the Convenience Tour. And that is the best way to see a Kevin Smith movie because you're in a room of Kevin Smith fans, so everyone watches all these movies, they're familiar with the universe, they probably watch all his podcasts or listen to all his podcasts, they know all his podcasting pals, they know the comic book men, they know all the actors that are in his movies, so when you see, because Reboot was a total fan service movie. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's just amazing to see all these characters come back after so many years. Ben Affleck, that was a big get, especially with the history they've had. And it was just really cool to see. And then the whole room just pops when these people come onto screen. Just little things, like Ralph Garman coming out of the elevator and talking about his credit card out loud. Like, I remember when he came out, I know I audibly made a sound, and the rest of the auditorium did when you saw Mark Bernardin sitting in the chairs at the ChronicCon, and just a quick little scene, just not even a line. It's just really cool to see people at least for me, it's cool to see people that I listen to on podcasts almost every single day up on the big screen. And that's what Kevin Smith does. He puts all his friends in his movies, and he forces his daughter in all his movies. His wife's in all the movies, and they're great movies. I'm really into them. I loved them since I was a kid. I think Jay and Silent Bob was the first one I saw, and then I've just gone back, filled in all the blanks, and I've watched them time and time again, and these have actually grown on me. Because I remember the first viewing of, this is the first time I saw Tusk. Tusk was very interesting.
I probably enjoyed Tusk more than Matt. Matt called me and he's like, you're probably going to really like Tusk. And I really did. And I love the fact that it's based on you know what? Why don't we do this in order? Let's start right after he did Clerks 2. He did Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Which I love, Zack and Miri.
I love Zack and Miri Make a Porno too. Actually, I love this more than a lot of people. Now, we saw this when it first came out. I don't know if you remember at your dad's place.
Okay.
And Justin Long, right in the beginning, just steals it. When he plays a gay lawyer in this, but he plays this character
Bobby Long's boyfriend.
He plays this so over the top and so ridiculous.
Oh my god.
He's perfect in this role. And then even Seth Rogen and Elizabeth Banks are perfect in their roles. You get Jay Muse, like this isn't connected to the View Askew universe.
Right,
This,
Jeff Anderson was in the movie also.
yeah, everybody's in the movie still, but they're all playing different roles, and it's just hysterical. I really love this movie. It's very quotable. It just, I don't know why it flew over everyone's radar.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie is a gem.
It really is.
There's so much to quote from it. There's just so many great scenes, so many great lines. I love that movie.
Oh my god, yeah. There's just so much great things. The granny panty stuff with Elizabeth Banks.
Seth Green is the
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen is the best. That voice is just iconic.
It is.
His laugh is iconic. He's awesome. I don't think there's a bad comedy he's in. Not that I.
No, and he writes a lot of his stuff, and it's cool that he did this movie with Kevin Smith, because usually he's the one who writes a lot of his own movies now, especially his writing partner Evan Goldberg. But he's just in this as an actor, and it's perfect. It's so funny. He's perfectly cast. It has a heart. You start to care about the relationship and the money issues that that Elizabeth Banks and Seth Rogen have.
I tell you, fuck you, and suck cock. I love that.
Craig Robinson,
that guy too. Yeah.
He always has a stacked cast. And then speaking of stacked cast, this moves into Cop Out is what he did next, which he doesn't like.
So Cop Out is the only Kevin Smith movie that he did not write. He only directed Cop Out, so keep that in mind.
Okay.
Everything else that we were talking about in these videos, every other Kevin Smith movie, he's written and directed. This one, he only directed, he did not write this.
Yeah, and Cop Out, for me, this is a spoiler. It's my last on my list, but it really isn't as bad as it gets made out to be. It's it's plain. It's very generic.
Tracy Morgan's funny.
Yeah,
Sean William Scott's in it. He's funny. It's just a very forgettable comedy. It's not great. It's not terrible. It's just middle of the road. It's something you just throw on Netflix, maybe in the background. It's worth a one-time watch. There's some laughs in there, but it's not something to write home about.
No, and this actually, I think it shows on screen that Bruce Willis and Kevin Smith, it's been reported they didn't get along on set, and it definitely shows in Bruce Willis's performance. Unfortunately, I don't think he really did the best job, and that's my opinion. I just thought it was very plain. I forgot about it immediately, and I have no desire to run back and see it.
Actually, one of the scenes I really like, when he's doing all the movie interpretations at the beginning, and then he was talking about Die Hard, and Bruce Willis is like, "Oh, I never heard of it, or I never seen it."
Yeah, he didn't. I didn't get that one when he said "Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker."
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And then after that, he went and did Red State. Which I actually really did enjoy. I think Red State is actually a pretty good thriller.
It is. Yeah, it was a good movie. I think that was one of the first times we saw his buddy Ralph Garman in one of the movies that I could think of.
Yeah, he plays a good role in it. And John Goodman, who Matt's description of trying to remember John Goodman's name is Dan from Roseanne.
Dan from Roseanne.
That's where Matt knows I'm like, are you trying to talk about John Goodman? Like legendary John Goodman?
Dan from Roseanne.
But he did great in this movie. This movie had some little bit of logic issues. It clearly was his, he's knocked religion before, but he's pretty much talking about cults and the Branch Davidians and everything that happened with the ATF in Waco, Texas in the early 90s. So that's where he was definitely pulling from, and it just felt like they had a real low budget here, and I feel you could see that on screen, and it kind of hurt it a little bit, but I still really enjoyed Red State.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. That's one of the more expensive Blu-rays to pick up.
Oh my god. The Red State, Yoga Hosers, and
Dogma
are just impossible.
They're all out of print, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't understand Dogma. I actually understand Red State, and
I got them all, baby.
Yeah, good for you. And then after he did Red State, then he moved into Tusk. Which, Tusk is a very unique film, to say the least. Just starring Justin Long as a podcaster with his podcasting partner, Haley Joel Osment, from The Sixth Sense and AI. And boy, he grew up to be an ugly man, didn't he? Justin Long, he's a podcaster, and he really is just he's just arrogant. He's got a sick mustache, he's wearing leather jackets, and he's going up to Canada. And he stumbles into the wrong house, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
After Kill Bill Kid cuts his own leg off. So he stumbles in, he's staying at this guy's house, he's just trying to get a fascinating story. But he gets drugged up and he gets turned into a walrus. Mr. Tusk, if you will. And I guess you weren't impressed with the creature design, but I loved it. I really did. It felt like his love letter to David Cronenberg.
It was. I mean, I watched it with my girlfriend, and she hated it. She thought it was very uncomfortable. And I wouldn't like Serbian film way worse, but this is pretty disturbing. Like, it's definitely. I mean, it's not.
It's a horror comedy. I
get that, but it's like he was. You see Justin Long as.
I loved it, and I just wish that
see him in there.
I wish Kevin Smith can send me the clips of Justin Long in the studio recording the walrus voices.
Yeah.
But it kind of even had a little bit of a heart, even at the end, how they have him in there, because Haley Joel Osment gets with his girlfriend because he's a terrible boyfriend to her, and it just.
But why would he want to live like that?
I didn't understand that. I actually thought they were going to go for the ending of The Fly, because it was similar to The Fly where he's turning into a monster, and I thought when Haley Joel Osment had the shotgun...
No, that was Johnny Depp.
Was that Johnny? That's what I meant, Johnny Depp. I thought he was going to kill him.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do that, like, oh my god, he's too far gone. He's mostly walrus now. But they didn't. Maybe that's why.
Fucking walrus.
And speaking of which, you get Johnny Depp in here playing.
Oh my god.
Just an amazing role. Hysterical. And really, honestly, because he's in on the joke, which... One of my favorite Kevin Smith things is everyone's in on the joke.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. His buddy Ralph is great at this as the cop. I love that. Perfectly cast. And then after this movie, its kind of sequel comes out called Yoga Hosers. And this is considered to be his worst film. And
sorry about that.
And I'm actually a little upset. This stars his daughter Harley Quinn Smith and Johnny Depp's daughter. I'm drawing a blank on what her first name is.
Lily Rose Depp.
Lily Rose Depp. And I thought they were great.
Yeah,
I really did. I enjoyed this. I thought it was going to be like Clerks, but it really turned out to be very much in the similar vein as Tusk. It felt a lot like Tusk, like with the flashbacks and everything in black and white.
Yeah.
And that actually gave me great laughs because you get everybody in this one, too. You get Haley Joel Osment again, I believe in a small part. But yeah, no, that was hysterical. But yeah, it really just felt like that. And then you had Johnny Depp's character back again.
He had an even bigger part in this.
Oh yeah, he played definitely much more of a major role. Because honestly, his character in both films... It's just phenomenal. But honestly, who steals it? Kevin Smith's buddy Rich. Doing all the accents. Ralph. At the end with
Ralph Garman. Yeah.
Ralph Garman doing Al Pacino. And this actually was a little note I took was the girls don't know the difference between Sylvester Stallone and Vin Diesel or Michael Douglas and Al Pacino. The kids had no idea. They're like, oh yeah, the guy from American President. Thinking that's Al Pacino. That's Michael Douglas. I thought that was funny little jokes.
Yeah, and Ralph does all these voices on, you hear him on Hollywood Babylon, that's one of the podcast shows, the comedy shows that him and Kevin Smith do, and I love that one, that's one of my favorites, and Ralph is awesome, I love Ralph Garman, he's hysterical.
Yeah, he was, and I really think this movie isn't as bad as most people made it out to be. It's still fun, everyone's doing their job, it's a good time. It's nothing crazy. I enjoyed the relationship between the girls, and really I think that carries it. And it's nice to see that he got to work with his daughter, and Johnny Depp got to work with his daughter. It kind of felt like a family thing, and to be honest, he probably doesn't need anyone to knock the film or not. He probably had a great time making it.
Yeah.
So, probably doesn't care.
And he makes jokes about it all the time on the podcast. He's like, I made yoga. He's joking around. He's
always in on the joke, Kevin Smith. And speaking of being in on the joke, Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot, actually, he's very much in on the joke.
Yeah. Yep.
So this film follows Jay and Silent Bob now in the future, and again, they have to stop a reboot for Blunt Man and Chronic. And this time...
It's very self-aware. They break the fourth wall a lot. And it's just, it's a reboot of the original, It's the original Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and there's just so many callbacks and similar scenes, and I ate it up because I absolutely love the original Jay and Silent Bob.
And you said that this is the perfect way to describe this movie. It's fan service in the best way.
Oh, yeah.
Matt saw this, like he said it a million times, with a crowd, and that's the perfect way to see this. I can see that because it gets everybody from a View Askew universe, including Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in great roles, like Matt Damon playing Loki again.
I was Loki in the 90s.
Yeah. He was
not Tom Hiddleston with that fake English accent.
Which, again, is hysterical because Matt Damon plays a spoof version of Loki in the MCU. So it's all just comes full circle. And then Ben Affleck, like, saying the names of his movie titles is hysterical, not knowing the name of Martha.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, like all these little jokes that you could tell Kevin Smith wrote, it's perfect. And the fact that they're trying to stop Kevin Smith from making the movie, Blonde and Chronic, and then they got Val Kilmer before Top Gun, like, because Val Kilmer can't speak anymore, so they had him play Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Or, what's his name? Blunt Man? Or is he Chronic?
Blunt Man.
Okay, so like that was really cool that they were able to get that. Jason Lee, everybody from the whole gang has a small role in this.
Jeff Anderson is the only one who did not return.
Yes, which
I mean, they. What's Dante's name? Something O'Halloran.
Yeah, well, he's in the very beginning.
Yeah, he's got a very small part too. A lot of the people have just very small cameos and stuff like that.
But they get everybody back.
I'm very surprised Jeff Anderson.
They got Boo Boo Kitty Fuck back, and they got
Justice.
Yeah. I just can't believe that's what he called it.
Jay and Justice sitting in a tree. F-U-C-K.
I just love it. I just love it. It really is a great movie. I had a blast watching it, and I can't wait to see Clerks 3. But before we see Clerks 3, I think it's time me and you gave our rankings for them.
From the bottom up.
Yep. So
all right.
Give me your number 13.
All right, so my number 13 out of Kevin Smith movies. And I just want to make this a point, make it known. Nothing, just because it's the last on the list does not make it a bad movie. It just needed a place on the list.
Exactly.
And they're all rewatchable movies for the most part. I had a tough time making this list.
I struggled myself.
But, so I think ours are going to be somewhat similar, but it's actually, I don't know, it's going to differ right off the bat. I would say number 13 for me is Chasing Amy.
Wow. Okay, well, my number 13 is Cop Out.
Right. Yeah, I expected that.
Yeah.
So at 12, I put Cop Out.
Okay, at 12, I put Chasing Amy.
Okay, so
Chasing Amy
vice versa. Chasing Amy's still a good movie.
It still is. It just doesn't hold up well.
And just something about Ben Affleck for me is just, he's not my favorite early Affleck.
I'm trying to remember the girl's name who plays Alyssa Jones, but it's funny, on the Kind of Funny in review, they talked about her going up there and doing karaoke, and they're like, why would they let her do that? And it's like, well, she was dating Kevin Smith at the time. And I remember watching the movie thinking, why is she up there? Like, cut this scene. So.
Yeah, Chasing Amy, it's not bad. I mean, Jason Lee saves the movie for me. You know, if Jason Lee wasn't in Chasing Amy, then it would be tougher for me. Again, I'm not a huge drama guy, so that's why I figured this would actually rank higher for you.
Yeah,
because you're into dramas.
But the Ben Affleck role and the two leads, they just didn't work for me. But Jason Lee was exceptional.
Right. All right. So, what is your number 12?
Well, mine was Chasing Amy. So what's your 11?
My 11 is Jersey Girl.
All right, my 11 is also Jersey Girl.
Okay.
Very forgettable. That's the only reason. It's not bad, but it wasn't great. I love seeing George Carlin though.
Yeah, not a bad movie. Jason Biggs actually makes a comment in this one at a panel at ChronicCon. Yeah. I was in Jersey Girl. You see what that did to that? Ruined my career.
This is the first movie I've seen Jason Biggs in since Jersey Girl.
The last movie. So number 10.
Yeah.
So we're cracking the top 10 now. Number 10, I put Red State.
Really? Number 10, I put Mallrats.
Mallrats?
Yeah.
Really? That low?
Huh?
Interesting. All right. So number 9. Here's where we're gonna have some.
If you say what I think you're gonna say, I'm leaving.
Dogma at number 9.
Fuck you. Okay. Well, I don't think I'm gonna hurt you at number 9. Number 9 for me is Yoga Hosers.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Tusk.
Tusk. All right. I get that. My number 8 now is Red State.
Now is Red State. Okay.
Okay.
Number 8 was Tusk. So number 7 for me is Yoga Hosers.
All right, that's fair. This is where you might get upset with me. My number 7, which was my number 1 coming into this rewatch.
Number 1. Oh, I know what this is.
Clerks 2.
Ooh.
This was my number 1.
Wow.
Yeah, it fell. It didn't work as much as it used to for me. It's still great though. Don't get me wrong.
Randall's one of my favorite characters.
I get that. It just, I don't know what I didn't love. It's hard to put my finger on it. I still got the laughs, but I didn't laugh as much as I used to at this movie.
Yeah.
And so that's the problem. All right, what's your number 6?
So, number 6 for me is Mallrats.
Okay, so that's actually lower than I thought it was going to be for you.
Yeah, I mean, Mallrats is a good movie. It's I still like it a lot, but after Mallrats, these top 5 for me are really just interchangeable.
Yeah, actually, my number 6 I really wanted to put in my top 5, but couldn't, and that was Tusk.
Tusk, okay.
Yeah, it got pretty high for me. I really liked it.
So that was 6. So number 5 for me is Zack and Miri.
Okay, wow. All right. My number 5 is Jay and Silent Bob, the reboot.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it, dude. I'm telling you, I had the best time watching. I watched 3 movies yesterday. One of the movies that I really liked, and I'm still thinking about the reboot. I loved it.
Reboot, yeah. It's very rare that something like this is that amazing, and I think Kevin Smith really had his finger on the pulse and fucking nailed this movie.
He did. He nailed it for the fans, and honestly, that's what it was made for.
So that was your number 5?
Yeah.
So my number 4, I put the OG original Clerks.
Really? Okay.
Number 4. Yep.
My number 4, I put the OG original Jay and Silent Bob, just above the reboot.
Really?
Yeah, they were hard for me to pick.
Yeah, it's very hard. And actually, I'm looking at this list now, and I almost want to change my 2 and 3.
It's hard, right?
Yeah.
So I actually had originally the reboot before the original, but I figured the original can't exist. I mean, the reboot can't exist without the original. So because they were so close, I swapped them.
Right.
So
All right. So that was number 4.
that was my number 4, the reboot for Jay and Silent Bob.
All right. So my number 3. I'm going to pull the trigger. I'm going to change what I even wrote down just because they're that interchangeable for me. And my number 3 is going to be Clerks 2.
Oh, okay. All right. I like that one a lot. My number 3, very high, is Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
I agree with that because it's a great movie. Again, that's in my top 5. The top 5 are interchangeable. You know, it's 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other.
I know, and you also, I've noticed, while editing our videos, you love to say that. We're going to have to retire that. 6 in one hand and a half dozen in the other. We get it. They're the same.
And that's from my partner Kevin at work, actually.
Well,
He
you really...
taught me that one.
Yeah, you ran with
it. All right, so now top 2, right?
Yeah.
So number 2 for me would be the original Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Okay, I get that. I love that movie, so I totally understand it. My number 2 is going to be the original Clerks. I love Clerks.
It's amazing. Yeah.
It really is, and
that's where it all started.
Exactly, and you get all the jokes right from the beginning. I get that the acting from a lot of the people isn't great, but I don't care. I love this movie. I love the ambition it took them to make this movie. I love that a lot of people get these monologues and they kind of do touch me, and it's just such a great movie. I don't care that it's old, dated, filmed crappy in black and white. I love it.
It's a perfect movie, really. You know? And that's, without that movie, we don't get the other 13. We don't get all the podcast Kevin Smith. We don't get Kevin Smith without Clerks.
Yeah.
If
you look up the movie, we haven't watched the documentary yet, but Clerk, I really want to see it. I know the story, but I would love to actually see everybody talking about it, so I would like to eventually get that.
So that leaves us at number 1, and I mean, done process of elimination, and I know what your number 1 is, but I'm sure you know mine. And I'm going to actually throw the reboot as my number 1 Kevin Smith movie. Yeah.
I totally get that, but you also had a great experience seeing it.
That's the thing. Again, it's all fan service. I sat in an auditorium with Kevin Smith fans, and I've never seen a movie like that. There's no other movie going experience. And maybe when you go see Marvel movie, like when we saw Endgame or Spider-Man, you get that in the real theater. But this was all Kevin Smith fans, you know. So the movie's just complete fan service. It just worked for me. I absolutely loved it, and it made my number 1.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Very surprised.
That is crazy, but that's fantastic, and it definitely deserves number 1. But my number 1, and I'm pretty sure you're surprised, is Dogma. I love Dogma. I really did. I've seen it before, but then when I watched it this time, and based on like just how I feel about religion and the jokes that made it religion's expense with George Carlin and this, and the Buddy Jesus, having Alanis Morissette as God, but really Ben Affleck and Matt Damon in their performances, they stole the show for me. They were hysterical as these two angels, and it's just great. Matt Damon is perfectly cast in this role, and Ben Affleck, the scene where they're in the one room and they're going person to person telling them all the bad shit they did, and he's like
around the table,
and he's like with the voodoo doll, he's like, I don't believe in voodoo, but I do believe in this, and he pulls out a gun, and he just starts, it's a fantasy, and it's perfect. I think Kevin Smith said this is the movie he wanted to make, and I can see why. It's a perfect script. I love it. Chris Rock's in this too. I really did enjoy this movie, just from beginning to end, and it's a shame that the Blu-ray is ridiculously overpriced. And I am specifically, when we go to the Clerks 3 premiere, Matt said people can line up to ask Kevin Smith questions. I want to ask him why I can't buy Dogma in just because I want it. I want it that bad. I'm going to ask him and see what he says. Can I have it?
No.
It really bothers me.
I paid like $50 for that on eBay. And now that's a good deal. Cause
that
is
a great deal.
Now it's like $100.
I saw $180.
Yeah, that's insane.
I want it so bad because that was a movie because I rented it from Matt in the Matt's rental case. And I wanted to freaking grab it and buy it and watch it the next day. I want to watch it again. I'm listening to a podcast about it literally right now. I'm dying to watch Dogma again. I really am. I love it. And that's going to do it for our Kevin Smith videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy our Clerks 3 review coming very soon. So that's going to do it for us on another episode of Let's Talk. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.
Snoogans.
Thank you guys for sticking around to the end of our Kevin Smith videos part 2. Tomorrow we're going to be seeing Clerks 3. Well, actually we're seeing Clerks 3 tonight, but tomorrow our Clerks 3 review will be up. And I figured in honor of Kevin Smith, and he really took off in the 90s, I would ask 2 90s questions for this week's Digital Code giveaway. For those who are new to the channel, every Friday in Friday's video we ask 2 Digital Code giveaway questions, and you have your choice of any of the digital codes on this screen if you are one of the lucky winners. So the way this works is all you have to do is answer one of these 2 questions in the comment section below, and then you're automatically entered into our digital code giveaway. This week we're going to have 2 winners, so on Monday's video we're going to spin the magic wheel twice, and those 2 winners will have their choice of the digital code. So the first question is, what is your favorite 90s comedy movie? And the second question is, what is your favorite 90s drama movie? Kevin Smith floats that line between drama and comedy, so I figured I'd separate that line and ask you guys what your favorite of each is. So don't forget to answer one of those 2 questions in the comment section below. All you gotta do is answer one, but if you guys want to chat with us and you want to answer both, hey, we're here. We're gonna definitely respond to you guys. We really love these digital code giveaways, mainly for the conversations in the comment section below. So as always, guys, thank you so much for being a fan of Let's Talk. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and tell all your friends.